adaptive, and so on and so forth. And really, I think it's a big change from agile. Like if you are really working in networks, and you have to be open when opportunities present themselves, and you have to be adaptive enough to actually make room for things that are once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
But then also have the rest of the people who are dependent on you actually be able to deal with that, and vice versa, or take care that the dependencies are not broadband but really don't create big disturbances, etc. So a lot of these learnings, yeah, maybe will be in the second edition of yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's
this
not
is
even
valuable.
token model
It's
generation.
so incredibly abstract, but the more we can pull it down into words,
Mm-hmm.
to start as a distillation medium, the more it
Yeah.
can become concrete and practical, and then
Yeah.
especially because everyone's kind of going through these same things, which are really unique
Yes.
experiences given the timing and the situation of the world and all the technology we have available and this sort of community building processes that we're going through that are
Mm.
completely new and unique. So I think
Mm.
establishing this sort of shared experience and like collection of experiences that we all might be going through, like that trade-off you just mentioned, the adaptability, the trade-off between
Mm-hmm.
sticking to our core projects and being accountable
Mm-hmm.
for what we've subscribed to, but then also that freedom to take those once in a life opportunities as they come up. Because I can so relate to that because I think three times this year, or maybe say the past half a year, I've said like, okay, these
Mm-hmm.
are the three projects I have on the go. I'm completely focusing on them until the end of the year. I'm not taking on any more projects. And then I
Exactly.
look like 3 or 4 months later, I look and those projects are not even on the table anymore. I'm like completely into
Yeah.
three other projects, and um, so yeah,
Exactly.
that's that
No,
trade
no.
off.
So, but that's the thing. Like, is it a trade-off? And I don't think it's a trade-off as we're used to thinking about it. Trade-off is always like win-lose.
Mm.
Um, I believe like if you can um, let go of projects for a time, or yeah, longer, but take others on, and depending on how you decided, right, how you make those decisions. And these are the abstract things, but I really want to bring them down. I want to make them so concrete as to be able to say, oh no, our process isn't waterfall, our process isn't agile, it's anti-fragile. And I want to say how to structure the mirror board
Mm-hmm.
for your for your planning, how to structure your calendar to actually be this fluid. And also organizational wise, like if you work in multiple networks, and literally that's where my head is like, we need to be able to reuse what we create here in many 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 other networks,
Mm.
so as to be able to actually gift it for free in the first network but monetize it in three other or four others. Basically, how do you create wealth, right? um and sustain wealth and so on and so forth. So it depends
Yeah,
on also how we create
I've
wealth, how
been
we work,
thinking about
right?
that
So
a
if I
lot the last couple days because specifically on what you were talking about, how being in many networks, because that's really what we're seeing now. Like everyone in this token engineering commons is also part of other networks, and so I think this is the wealth acceleration that we'll see now,
mm-hmm,
is because
mm-hmm,
we have more tools available and more resources available, we can take on more
mm-hmm,
responsibility. So it's not like
mm-hmm.
now everyone in the world is sitting back and relaxing because everything is automated. It's actually the opposite. Like everyone is working so hard, and everyone in my life that I know is completely busy and like swamped with projects, because I
Yes.
think what our tools allow us to do, or I guess what our nature of what we've, or maybe it's the culture
Mm.
that's emerging, is rather than just automating everything and working less, we're taking on more projects. So everyone's now, instead of having
Mm.
one job, everyone has like 5 jobs in 5 different communities, and
Yeah.
which is amazing. And I think that's this sort of higher dimensional wealth creation that we can see, because instead of everyone just contributing to one project, we're now contributing to multiple. So you get this like
Mm-hmm.
factor multiplicative on what we're producing
Yes.
as an aggregate. And so this, what I'm leading into is to really reinforce what you were saying about not reproducing or not recreating the wheel. If we're creating all these value systems and these well-defined
Mm-hmm.
processes here, then how can we bring those and package them so concretely and have them well-defined, where we could just open up the
Yeah.
box and plug and play into all the other communities and networks that we're participating in.
Exactly. Exactly. Like they need you to be much share that you can, but literally,
Cool.
not
So we wanted
ready
to.
to burnout mode, but actually
Mm-hmm.
to, done it once and now I can, replicate it 5 times, but also in a way that those 5 times were replicated, a person is learning how to actually replicate it another 5 times.
Mm.
So and literally this is this copy paste, fork, and branch and merge. And this whole open source software working and everything that happened allows us to do that. And now we just need to have, sort things out in a way, not the way that we learned how to, but actually the way it can scale. And that works without actually, uh, you know, using. I think we need to work in multiple networks. Literally, all of the projects that I'm supporting now actually support me back with new knowledge, and like it is amazing and indescribable.
Mm.
And I couldn't do that in any other standard team or startup or business setup or project team setup. And on the other hand, like these people that I'm working with are super adaptive and flexible themselves. Like there's like if I say, okay, I'm gonna drop the ball for 1 week, 2 weeks, or if I say, okay, next month is going to be electro seed fund month, like these networks are, they don't break down because I said that, and that's beautiful. And B, if I come back after a month with a wealth of new knowledge,
Mm.
and bring into this other project and network, it's like amazing,
Mm.
right? But not everyone can deal with that, and I see people who are creating their own processes and so on. So that's definitely something, maybe a couple of months later we might come together and actually write that down, as a new anti-fragile manifesto or something.
Cool.
uh, yeah, because I know a lot of people like Sparrow. I mentioned you're saying like how you work and so on and so forth. So that's these are all this, um, yeah, we can call it curation of experience and knowledge in how to actually navigate these complex adaptive networks of value creation, wealth creation. Yeah, super exciting. But book club, and basically, but that's the same story like with the book. How we went from, oh, just a crazy idea, to actually, hey, this got, business as usual traction, to actually, yeah, sit down and write that book, to actually, no, let's make that an experiment, to then, after months, really, uh, in the second cohort of this course material that came out of one chapter of the book, to actually sit down with Tanner, uh, academia, to sit down with Tanner, go through the token model of Pictosis, which is basically creating the infrastructure for what we need with such a book if we really want to go Web3. Right? And that was for me like an amazing experience. And Tanner, is the one person I put like a wild card in the trusted seat of this book, because he was there from the very beginning of when the token engineering uh, Telegram channel was just 40 people or something. Right, and also because, as said, software developer went into all of these crazy infrastructure networks and got into token engineering, but still kind of struggling to wrap his mind around what is this token engineering. I think I understand, but it's so different from what we learn in software development. And that was like my thinking is this book should be for people, for programmers who we want to actually get this right and get it right, and business architects, more or less, like those people who typically work with business model generation. And then engineers, yes, but engineers have a much less harder time. However, just programmers are just better programmers. Again, so these are the things that people come from different backgrounds with things that they have to unlearn to come to a common language and from which we can effectively work together. So that's basically the book. So, and so from where I stand, again, the path is super clear, and my job is now to actually finish chapter 4 and more or less help the other chapter leads to get their chapter out. And each chapter is really like a book. The content of it, the excitement that this chapter could create. Like the next one is privacy preserving and participatory architectures. It's gonna bend some brains, and Anish is working on that, and so on and so forth. But everyone actually needs, every lead author needs someone like a coach. I believe, and I'd like to be that person too as soon as chapter 4 is finished. And what I have on my mind is actually, what do we do with those finished chapters? Are they just going to, be on GitHub, readable? Great. That was the minimum we went for. But now, actually looking into these printing and minting of chapters, like, and then testing token models of the entire book with one chapter, that's something that really, really gets me going when I think about the book and when I come back. So I would like to use the Thursdays from now on to actually talk infrastructure, like what do we really need, what do we have right now to mint those chapters and test, and like the other work that needs to be done to actually help and support the writers and anyone who wants to contribute and write to actually be able to write. So I have, for example, these sessions with the lead authors, and I had one today with this morning with Lawrence, right? Also lead of decentralizing organization, and just helped him basically to figure out what he's excited about writing, right? And when the lead author basically creates this outline and the core or one narrative, then it's much more easier for others to actually jump in and add chapters. So that's something from experience, add subsections or examples, right? But still, like, I'm just happy that we have these chapter leads who commit their times beyond, everything else they're doing. So that's why also expectation management wise for me was like, yeah, crowdsourcing a book is like, it should be a full-time job to do it right. And I'm just happy that we have more than just one author who is excited about the book. So that's what I'm counting as a win, and actually help those excited co-authors get those chapters out. Yeah, that's basically that. So, and with that, do you guys, you have looked maybe into the book I shared with the new ones? I think the entire drive. Like, if you have content-wise questions, first of all, you can post them at any time, at any hour in the channel. And this asynchronous topic discussions are also very, food for thought for others. But if you have any question now that you want to ask, we can go over them. Or else I would like to just give the floor to Demlia, to Tanner, to maybe talk about Pictosis and the grant, gitcoin grant. Yeah. And then I have one more topic about minting some really rudimentary test chapters or passages from the book. And that's how I would close today. So any questions right now? No. Cool. Tanner, are you ready? Would you like to share?
Oh yeah, sure. So the first thing is, yeah, we should decide on when we are going to run those initial tests of what we want our timeline to be. And I'm envisioning that various chapters on Pictosis, but also the book itself, because we can also have the publishing house on Pictosis, and then it can. And the interesting thing here is we could even do not. It could be a Web3 publishing house, and we could have a series that's the Token Engineering Commons series, or we could have a Token Engineering Commons publishing house that uses a similar pattern to the more generic publishing house but dedicated token engineering. Those are different options that I'm thinking, possibilities I'm thinking of.
One comment there, I would stick to leanpub, for example. You see very nicely, and they've been through this process over the past years, right? You see, you can have a book, a bundle of books, right? And where we could go from there is actually, an entire publishing house or library of books that we co-created. And the mechanics are the same, right? Like whether it's pieces of chapters, whether they are editions of journals or books and editions of books, etc.
Yeah, because they are pretty much the same structure. And then so with the Gitcoin grant right now, is just kind of, it's to give us more resources to develop quickly until this upcoming summer, where we will work with Outlier Ventures. And
cool.
And then so what we're going to be doing with this Gitcoin grant is we already have some preliminary cadCAD models of portions, especially the extensions and and the impact analysis. And so we're continuing to work on those, and so we'll do that. We'll also having some and hiring some developers for the front end portion of things, because the contracts, while the core contracts are implemented, a good interface is lacking. And and then we're performing some more in-depth security reviews of those contracts. We wanted to get that done quickly before we open source them and create bounties, so that people don't try to use them before we're confident that it's not going to cause any harm. And then the final thing that we were going to do is get some people to compensate some people to review our white paper and positioning paper, because it's
Mhm.
not something where I would expect anyone to review it of their own free will because of how long it is. So
I have to cite Bea. Don't underestimate people's needs. You know, some people really need to dig into those white papers.
yeah.
And where the action is the reward.
I
But
think we're at
cool, you
I
know.
think we're at around 9,000 words now, but we have an entire section, an entire part. It has a table of contents and it's split into 3 parts. The third part we haven't even started on yet, so it's too big.
Can you you know, will you be putting that on Pictosis?
No, well, at some point maybe, but there's
Not with
no
this time.
Pictosis platform yet, right? So it's just a set of
So
contracts.
cool. And now my question comes, like, if we wanted to, you know, really dog food our way into actually minting with Pictosis today, or start today to actually describe from what you have, right? How far or what would we need to do to actually mint a test chapter with, let's say, one main author and 2-3 acknowledgements, or maybe static acknowledgements to the actual open source frameworks that we're referencing in token model generation chapter?
Yeah, the main thing to do would be we would have to write a couple extensions for those use cases and
Mhm.
have a functional interface, unless you
Mhm.
wanted to submit it through, API, like curl commands
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
I'm asking you, you know, what's the brute force way to go? And it's like, yeah, you gotta use terminal and what have you. Like, I wanna dish the true to, you know, current status, so we actually can figure out a way how to make that, you know, while writing out chapter 4. And actually we have, you know, we have bounty reserve, and now with the next round of the gitcoin grants, hopefully we'll get some more, and I would actually would love to reserve some of that going into creating the most rudimentary prototype or whatever, but actually using this process, and through using actually knowing exactly what our requirements should be towards, you know, Pictosis, minting chapters, attributing co-creators. I know this whole thing is much bigger, and that needs, you know, proper project execution and funding. However, like, if we did start today with the most rudimentary, lowest funding we have, and the most rudimentary uh, uh, interfaces, etc., what are those, and could be how far can we go in minting actual
Right.
test chapter?
Well, with the smart contract development slowing down because the core stuff is built, we're switching gears
Mm-hmm.
to making interfaces. And so our goal internally was
Cool.
that we have a working prototype prior to the TEC proposals actually being starting to be voted on. Which is my understanding, it's in a couple of weeks where these actually start getting funding. So what we wanted to do was have that prototype there as a demonstration that we
Fine.
can include in the proposal.
Fine. Yeah. So that would be, for me, would be one goal to really go after. And what I would love to do is actually flesh that out. Literally take chapter 4, say, okay, co-author, written this much, contributions, moral support, open source projects referenced in that chapter, and have those attributions in a way that A, can be tracked, B, also later on, I assume, kind of, can be reweighted, etc., but actually have those attributions tracked that would be minimal, and then really create an NFT with that information inside.
Yeah, I think that's
That would be a great
goal.
prototype.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then what that means is now we're shifting into into actually using GitHub, like create a project in book repository for prototyping and minting chapter 4 through Pictosis. And that's basically also one goal. That would be perfect. Like, and if you could use this time every week to actually think on what needs to be done. Yeah, and also think on how to write things to actually get the metadata out easily or manually. We will do anything. So don't worry about that, but actually mint that chapter. So that's also would be super cool end of the year Christmas present. I think for anyone involved. Cool. Does anyone have input questions, how insights, how we might go about it? Else, yeah, cool. That's totally fine, and I just want to go off and create those projects and continue writing. Just one info. There will be another test, but that's a really, we have this hidden chapter. The interface to moral philosophy for token engineers. It's just so crazy. And I just don't like this original craziness of it. I definitely need to mint it. So, and, have it somewhere as, as the original version. And what we talked with paper underscore protocol, it's a completely different way of co-creating documents and actually keeping track of origin of a source, etc. And that's super interesting, specifically for this crazy version of the hidden chapter. And yeah, and it's just games and gimmick. However, I would like to mint maybe a one of one. That's really, there will only be one of that chapter or of that digital asset. And basically, I will share just the videos that Peppo recorded and how we could go about it. And yeah, I'm just telling you that because, I mean, if you're interested or if you want to take part in one of those sessions where we might actually online use underscore protocol to actually plug and put together like the original passages that come from Fabian and my commentary, and put these things together, including the most craziest sources that Fabian is citing, and so on and so forth, and basically create this document as with those attributions. And the thing is, with underscore protocol, you can plug pieces from different documents and put them in one document. So it's really exactly how the interface to moral philosophy for token engineers is structured right now, or how it came about. But then it puts the document, that created document with the signatures of the sources, etc., puts on IPFS. But then that's that. So I still need to figure out, or maybe Tanner, I will bug you with that as well. Like, okay, now that we have a document that lives, on IPFS and has all the right attributions, etc. How could we mint a one of one, right? And with that, I would like to reach back out to Simon, who was the first reviewer of that crazy chapter, and basically ask him whether we could do something like his work. I don't know if you know it. This artwork is always on sale.
Yeah, I know of that work.
Mm. So something like that, where basically this piece of document can be shared or owned or stewarded by someone for a period of time, but can be actually exchanged hands by anyone who is more keen on, owning or shepherd or stewarding it for a period of time. And and basically wire that original piece directly to Fabian, who's, I don't know if you know it, but who's currently setting up a new life in Bali, which I think super. I would just like to have some guerrilla action like that going. It's not. It doesn't really have insights. I think it will have some insights, but we know that that's not the process we want to go for, or we know it already, but still it's interesting, and it fits the structure of that chapter or of that document. And I think it's a nice gimmick to have for the book, like this hidden chapter where you only have one owner at a time and test that out. So these are the two things I would go after. Really, if you now really think about the book as a project, these are things I would go after and basically complete. And these are the things that can be driven like a project, totally. And hopefully also gain some more time for the other authors to actually, have their peace of mind to actually write their best chapters about legal engineering and about, privacy preserving, participatory architectures, etc. So that's that. And that was update-wise, that was it from my side. I'll update the Gitcoin grant ASAP with this pieces of information that we have. And for next Thursday, I would like to invite all Gitcoin supporters to the book club. And basically we can have a nice session where we actually explain what's discussed now more accessibly to the community of the book, to the supporters of the book, and also get them excited, about the hidden chapter, the mint, and about the Pictosis mint of chapter 4, and so on. So yeah, cool. And basically I see, Tanner, hope you are, fully committed. I think definitely we have the alignment there. And if any one of you, especially when we set up the project and the things to be done, etc., if any one of you wants to jump in and help out, of course you are more than welcome. Yeah, just let me or let us know. And that's that. Basically, with respect to chapters and edits, I think the most important stage for edits is really when we have done even these tests and so on and so forth, and we're like, okay, we want to go into ebook print, and we need an edit. And basically when we say, okay, and finally the book is going to go to actual print, right? And the plan is still to distribute it through Amazon, but maybe by then we actually have what Sherman has in her mind, really a Web3 physical print that isn't dependent on Amazon, but a network of publishers or network of printers, to be honest. So these are the things that are on the horizon. Yeah. Cool.
Wow, that sounds difficult.
Yes, the network of real world printers, it's like will be at the end somewhere, and I'm sure that we will use Amazon before that, but it would be so cool to actually have that. And I don't know, Jessica, are you on still? You had mentioned a boutique publisher, right?
Oh, yes. I haven't had a chance to reach out to him. Thanks for reminding me. What do you want me to ask him exactly?
No, it's not. I was just curious that we have these people in our network, right? It's nothing on time, but it's really on the horizon, like that. Once we have these processes established and we have edited books, why not distribute them through actual network of publishers, printers, and distributors in our networks, right? And
Yeah,
yeah.
this is like a friend I met when I lived in Colorado, like 5 years ago. We're not super close or anything, but he's somebody that I could reach out to because he's a lovely guy and just be like, hey, if we need any information about publishing. I don't know if they have a particular genre, but anyway, it's somebody we could reach out to for support, for physical
Yeah.
printing to see either if he would be interested to publish us or if he could. He definitely will have the networks and have been through many steps
Yeah.
we could access and ask him for support for the printing.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's
So
just
that's
anytime.
that's
There's
just one
no
interesting.
there's no expiry. Like he's there, we
Exactly.
can reach out anytime.
Exactly, and that's one thing. Like, but it's the holiest grail of transcending traditional publishing and distribution networks. Yeah, but also Sherman is like, yeah, print on demand sucks, and you actually need to have distribution network, etc. And that's where she also has gathered a lot of experience. But that's also where she's like, yeah, our image of the future and what we can imagine doesn't quite fit with the realities. It's just as it is. Yeah, but it's cool to know that we have these people in our network and we can reach out when it's time. But for now, let's focus on minting those chapters with the tools that we have and the prototypes that we can build together. I'm super excited. I don't know if you can hear it. Cyprian, one quick question. I don't know if you got everything. And chapter 4 is imminent. So, and yeah.
Yeah. So I had to rethink a bunch of stuff in the model because I want it to be a representation and not like a general theory, because that implies a lot of model work. But so I'm really trying to make it look like a pure illustration that can be as generalized as possible, so that it can apply to a lot of different systems. So just to give you a quick idea, you can define like human organizations as the actual work and communication between all of us and the protocol that is actually making each decision being applied and being respected. And then you have the actual artifact that is created by that organization. And so if you start separating like all these different levels, then you get to like a really complex representation first, because you have so many layers to look at. And on top of that, you need to explain the relationship between all the little stuff everywhere. And so it becomes crazy complicated. Um, so yeah, so I think I need one more week to finish that.
Okay.
And by next Thursday, I should be able to have that. I mean, the representation is kind of done, but it's more like the text to go with that, so that it's kind of clear what to see there.
Yeah.
So
So the thing is, we can, I really want to use the Thursday now to actually like really get the minting projects through and sync like that. But we should definitely content-wise, that's what I would do. Like let's have content working session on chapter 4. But again, I have a lot of writing to do as well, so don't sweat it. But if you want to share something, just know that I'm really ready, and also you can spar with me anytime. Just
okay, perfect.
remember it will be just one part for this chapter, and I know how deep and wide it can go, and I think we can reuse it in chapter 2 actually for setting the stage. I just wanted to share with you guys one more thing. So, as you know, Dada, the art community, but the invisible economy has been a real, challenger of even my models, my established sense making, and this is literally what came out of our system modeling session. And I love that we have this system modeling session where we talk about value flows and stocks and how actually get to the cadCAD model and how to make an experiment where what we can actually have on the data platform. And it has a lot to do because it's this invisible economy, needs-based modeling instead of agent-based modeling, has a lot to do about the question, how are we going to get the qualitative data to quantify our models, and how are we going to actually evaluate? Because this qualitative data is very, very subjective. And then we talked about a lot about sentiment analysis and what are we optimizing for, and so on and so forth. And Bea was listening to that. And she was just gone for 2 days after that, and she came back with these drawings that she made from Rio de Janeiro, and I just love it because my geek heart jumps super high if you actually find common language with artists and data scientists, and something like this comes out of it. So that's what chapter 4 represents for me, like this finding common language, and in a way that compiles for the community. The artist community or the artist starts drawing because they have the common understanding, and while the data scientists are doing their analysis and so on and so forth, and people see it from the community, and all of a sudden we have this common understanding. So it's something I wanted to share, and I think this chapter 4 is going to be really, really nice. Also thanks to the collaboration with Dada, not just learning from them, but actually getting this unique illustrations of the content. Like, this is something you cannot commission. That's just what I wanted to share with you guys, that for me it is a validation of this big assumption that we are currently at a stage climbing the hill really hard, and but we have everything we need as a community, and that's what when we give this to each other, that's how we create value, and that value doesn't exist yet, so it's priceless. So these are type of validations that just make my heart skip some beats and jump further. I just wanted to share with you. Anyways, so I'm excited about chapter 4 and the visuals in it and so on and so forth. And don't sweat it. For example, how to visualize it or draw, etc. So we have really wonderful people who want this book to be what it can be, and I'm sure that they might even be, Supriya, I'm thinking like if you would present that, and I know it's going to resonate, right, with our community. I am sure that someone in this community is going to come up with a visualization that might just blow your mind. Don't sweat it, but share it often and share it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm done. And we can also close early if you guys don't have a question. I think we have the tech call right after this.
Okay. Well, it was good talking to you. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think everyone's zoning out. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
More than welcome. So I really look forward.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Take good
Super
care
fascinating
and
stuff. It's awesome. See y'all in tech call.
see
All
you.
right.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.